Hello and a warm welcome to the program. I'm Teniola Shoboale. The Italian Coast Guard has recovered the bodies of 13 women who died after a crowded migrant boat capsized in bad weather as rescue craft approached it off the coast of Lampedusa. Local authorities say 13 men and 9 women survived the sinking of the boat, which was carrying more than 50 people when the disaster struck. Many of the migrants are still not accounted for, including a number of children. Italian magistrate Salvatore Vella says most of the passengers come from Tunisia or sub-Saharan Africa, and none of them had life jackets on. Meanwhile, the police in Mozambique have apprehended an attempt to traffic 42 illegal migrants from Malawi in a container lorry heading to South Africa. Police spokesman Carlos Macaucau says they had been traveling in the lorry for 3 days before being intercepted in the capital of Gaza province, Zai. The detained migrants told authorities they had been assured of employment in South Africa. Police say they are now working with the Mozambique migration authorities to repatriate them back to Malawi. Away from illegal migration, Sudan has received half of $3 billion in aid promised by Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates in April. The finance minister, Ibrahim El-Badawi, says he expects the remainder to be paid by the end of the next year. The minister says Saudi Arabia and the UAE has deposited $500 million in the Sudanese central bank, while $1 billion worth of petroleum products, wheat and agricultural production inputs had also been received. Long lines for bread and fuel are a recurring feature of Sudan's economic crisis. The minister was speaking on the sidelines of an event in Abu Dhabi where Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok is visiting after traveling to Riyadh earlier in the week. The Gulf countries agreed the aid package soon after former President Omar al-Bashir was ousted. Well, let's take a look at the relationship between Saudi Arabia and Sudan. This is a long-time historical and current relationship. Despite sharing a strong historical relationship as for being majority Arab nations, however, Saudi Arabia and Sudan's relationship is often marked with divisions between cooperation and conflict. Because of this, Sudan and Saudi Arabia often have some significant rifts on each other's over diplomatic stances. Former President Omar al-Bashir's recent decision to send Sudanese troops fighting in Yemen was considered to be a boost of developing relationship, one that had been strained for decades. As for the result, Sudan was admitted into Saudi Arabia's fragile Islamic military alliance. We're now being joined by Alistair Wilcox, an African Affairs analyst, to take a look at this very long relationship. Alistair, I'm glad to have you join us. How significant would you say this development is for the people of Sudan?
Well, it's very, very significant to the extent that the new administration in Sudan, after the exit of al-Bashir, will need some form of stability and need to get along. The after of al-Bashir was a turning point in the relationship between Sudan and its neighbors. And as you mentioned in the news, Sudan has been in the news for all wrong reasons during the time of al-Bashir. But things begin to turn around when al-Bashir discovered that he loses a lot of friends. And then he now had to try to find a way to control Saudi Arabia by supporting the Saudi Arabian war in Yemen. So that's quite significant. And now that al-Bashir is out of this, the new government will need such aid to get along, because really and truly, the Sudanese economy has taken a very, very deep turn for the world since the exit of South Sudan that had the oil wealth that has the people of Sudan. So right now, Sudan will need all the praise they can, and Saudi Arabia is a very, very formidable ally.
Yeah, definitely. Like you mentioned, things weren't so great with Omar al-Bashir, and in the past, the country's former leader has been charged with corruption and using the money for personal use. Is there a way of ensuring accountability to end the long lines for bread and fuel, a recurring feature of Sudan's economic crisis?
Well, it will be in the best interest of the new administration to take a new turn in terms of, because right now the administration is made up of people-oriented, it was a people-oriented revolt. And then the civil societies and everybody is at the fault because really and truly, al-Bashir run Sudan like a personal estate. The way Sudan was run is like a personal estate, and that's why corruption, nepotism, all kinds of vices were created for al-Bashir. Remember, he has international arrest warrant based on his criminal activities in terms of sponsoring of terrorism and conflicts all over the Islamic world. So it will be in the best interest of the new administration now that Sudan is about to be rebuilt, that accountability, whatever resource that they receive, will come to be. And like I said, it's not a one-man regime. It's a regime that is made up of various interests. And as such, it will be their best interest. I'm going to guarantee and guarantee that there is going to be strict accountability. And I am believing that the wide-based position of those accountability will be entrenched.
Okay, of course, Saudi Arabia has, fulfilled its promise to Sudan, paying half of the $3 billion aid. How else can Sudan make use of this assistance?
Well, the infrastructure in Sudan has been battered to a very large extent. Like I said, since the exit of South Sudan, because South Sudan controls most of the resources that Sudan had, and part of the war, why it prolonged was because of resources. And so when that happened, Sudan discovered that they are left bare in terms of economic development. So infrastructure has gone down, and the fact that al-Bashir involved Sudan in too many unnecessary conflicts, Right now, in terms of rebuilding, the only way that the people of Sudan can build them is where the current government utilize the resources that is coming to their way. They will get more. I'm sure that a lot of countries will be interested because the stability of Sudan really is key to solving a lot of conflicts in Africa. So a lot of countries will be interested in coming to the aid of Sudan. I'm sure even Americans, the European Union will also be interested in coming to the aid of Sudan. So right now, what's in their cost for them to use those money to build infrastructure, to rebuild the economy, and to create jobs. I think that's just the best.
Yeah, and so just before I let you go, Prime Minister Hamdok is on a working visit to Saudi Arabia at the moment. That Saudi Arabia has called on the United States to remove Sudan from its terror list. Why do you think Saudi Arabia has an interest here?
Well, Saudi, at this point, want to consolidate their empire, their friendship empire. Remember, there's still this Sunni the division, the Islamic division in the Middle East, and between Iran and Saudi Arabia. So there's real conflict, and Saudi Arabia will do everything it can to get more friends in this group. So for me, really, part of the interest of Saudi Arabia is increasing its influence in the Islamic world to get more friends. And right now that Sudan has a new lease of life, it is in their interest to go in first and be able to give Sudan some carrots that will move them to their side. So the more they get more people, the more the influence is exerted. And going on the US, remember the US, its biggest ally in the Middle East is Saudi Arabia. And Sudan, under al-Bashir, was terrorist state that sponsored terrorism. Now that al-Bashir is out, and then the new government, I think it will also be the best of the state to put towards Sudan. Since Saudi Arabia, their billion partner, is also expand their own territory in terms of. So it should be a win for Sudan because if they play their card very well right now, like with Saudi Arabia very well, they will also from there reach out to the Americans to also. It should be a win-win for Sudan. But the woman is instead about Sudan to move their from the air of al-Bashir. I will put them long. I will put them long.
All right, then African Affairs analyst Alistair Wilcox, thank you for sharing your thoughts and analysis with us on Network Africa.
Thank you very much for having me.